Hello. Happy Saturday. My God, I am so happy that it's the weekend. I feel like I worked so much this week, and it's finally the weekend. And I had such a nice, relaxing evening. Alex went to go see Above and Beyond, who are not my favorite DJs. So he went with his friend Kayla, and then they went out dancing afterwards. He has to actually work in the morning. He said he's supposed to be at this meeting at 7:30, but he's going to try to see if he can move it to 9 because he wanted to sleep in a little bit. So I was like, whatever. So anyway, but he went to that tonight, and I watched 60 Days In after I uploaded my videos, and I got some food, and I did a live stream, and I had a really fun time doing a live stream. I did like an hour and a half, 2-hour live stream. So if you're watching this on Saturday, I'm thinking about, unless Alex and I make plans tonight, doing another live stream tonight, a longer one, so it'll probably be at 9 or 10, so come and check out my YouNow live stream. The link is below. Come join us. It's lots of fun. Anyway, I had a good day. I got up, and I had a meeting at my office for 2 hours, and it was a little cold today. It wasn't really that warm, and it is 29 degrees right now, but it seemed like it was going to be warm outside. The roof in my office is leaking, so I have buckets all over the place because he's going to get a brand new roof this spring, but he can't fix it until then. So he's like, I'm really sorry, but this is the best that I can do. I was like, don't even worry about it. I was like, I can, it's just not that big of a deal. So then I came home, and I made my videos, and I uploaded them, and then I went and got something to eat, came back, watched 60 Days In, then I fed the dogs, and then I took a nap with the dogs. We took a nap for like an hour and a half. Oh, I also, and then I did my live stream. I also talked to the vet today, because, PP had been coughing a little bit more, and he had been wheezing and having a really hard time breathing. So Tanya said, I really think that you should call the vet and see what the vet says. And so I did, and she called me back. I couldn't believe it. Like, she called me back like a half an hour later. She was really nice, and I explained to her what was going on, and she's like, has he gained any weight? And I was like, yeah, he looks a little heavier than he was, because we like change his food to like wet food, and he's eating it all the time, and like we've been giving him hot dogs. She said that the hot dogs were completely fine. She was so funny. She's like, if my weight is in control, nobody's gonna tell me I can't have a cupcake. And I said, well, I heard that it can cause like dangerous things like pancreatic cancer. And she goes, well, if you're feeding a dog a lot of like hot dogs and like raw meat and things like that, yeah, you're at risk. But she said, you've fed him dry food his entire life. At this point, it's probably too late in the game to have to worry about that. She goes, our number one concern is that he has to have his medicine, period. So she went through each medicine with me. She told me which ones I can grind up and which ones I can break in half. And then she said that she was like, maybe what we'll do is, she goes, sit and watch the coughing. I call, and like he didn't cough at all this weekend or today. There was not one cough. He didn't wheeze. He was completely fine all day long. And so she said, let's kind of see how he does through the weekend. She goes, starting at the beginning of the week, she was like, if he's coughing a lot, let's double his Lasix in the morning. She's like, or give him another half in the morning, but leave his evening the same. She said, because we can kind of like go up and down with that. She's like, the other 2 ones we can't, because it can cause him like blood pressure problems, and she was like, I don't want to have to worry about that with him. And so I was like, okay. She was like, but if the coughing isn't happening, I don't want to change it up a whole lot. And so then she was like, she told me the weight that she wants them at, and then we need to weigh him. She wants them at about 8 1/4, she said. And yeah, other than that, she was like, honestly, it sounds like he's doing pretty well. She was like, the wheezing is probably, she goes, if he's gained a little bit of weight, she goes, I would rather have a lean dog that has a heart disease than a heavy dog that has heart disease, is what she said. So if at the beginning of the week he's really struggled through the weekend, I'm going to take him into the vet on Monday or Tuesday. So that's the plan right now. But she said to me, she goes, Peter, she goes, the cough is not going to go away 100%. She goes, I wanted to eliminate it as much as possible. She's like, but if he's having a day where he's coughing a lot and then 4 days that he doesn't really cough at all, she goes, that's kind of what you're going to be living with until he just can't handle it anymore and he's in too much pain where he's coughing every day. She goes, but for right now, she goes, I think that sounds like he's doing pretty well. So I was like, okay. So it really alleviated my stress a lot because I was really worried. I was like totally stressed out. I was like, oh my God, like, are we at the end stages with PP? I was not prepared for that at all. And the weird thing is, she's like, well, how is he other than the cough? And I said, he's completely fine. Like, he runs around the yard with his brothers, he plays with them, they hump each other, it's the same thing, that he always says. He gets real excited when his dad comes home, he runs downstairs when, the garage door goes open. He's the same dog he always was. And she's like, well, that's good. She's like, it's really about quality of life is what we're talking about here. She's like, it's when their quality of life is no more that, you and I said, and then I can't have that conversation today. His quality of life is fine. So, she's so nice. So she is like, I don't know. She's just amazing. So I'm on my way to go meet, Lori at the casino because Alex is up there, but went out tonight and he has to work tomorrow morning, and I don't have any reason to get up tomorrow morning. So, I'm meeting her, but I have like a half an hour until she'll probably be there. So, I'm just doing my vlog. I started listening to a new audiobook last night. I started listening to The Chalk Man, and it's kind of really spooky. It's really good mystery, but it's kind of scary. Like, I don't know. I wasn't ready for it, I guess, as scary as it was. It was a good day. I was like, looking through my gratitude stuff, and so I do this thing with gratitude, like when I pay a bill, I say thank you to the universe. It's something that I learned from the Magic book by Rhonda Byrne. And so I was going through and doing my bills tonight, and I was like saying thank you for each bill that I had paid. I know it sounds corny, but it's like you thank the universe or you thank God or whatever for having the money to pay for that bill. And what's interesting is that when you do it, like it really, before when I would do bills, like, and this was what was interesting, was I remember this from 5 years ago when I did this, and I had stopped doing it. When I did it for a long time, I would say thank you, and like even like still on some of my bills I get paper bills, but most of my bills I don't get paper bills. I still set you, but I would write on the bill like thank you for having the money to pay this bill, because that's what she teaches in the book. But what's interesting about it is that when you do that, back in the day when I would do bills, I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't a good night for me, to sit there and do bills and like just pay all this money off. And I was like, I hate paying bills, right? But now, each bill that I pay, when I say thank you for having the money to pay this bill, what it does is it makes me look at each thing that I have, like whether it's like my car payment or, my mortgage or electricity bill or gas bill or whatever. It makes me look at cell phone bill. It makes me look at each of those things and realize how grateful I am to be able to have those things. That there are a lot of people that don't have the money to pay those things or have those things, and on the heels of reading that book by Patricia Williams called Rabbit, and it's not like this is new to me. I mean, like I've worked with a lot of people that were involved in the social service, department and, got government assistance, and I knew that they didn't have, that's been the area that I've worked in the majority of my life. But, when I read that book and it went on and talked about, she would eat ketchup sandwiches because they didn't have money for food, or, it would go on and on and on and talk about how they couldn't pay their electricity bill and so they wouldn't have electricity, and but her mom wanted to have her TV, so she would take an extension cord and run it out across the street and through the front yard to the neighbor's house and ask if she could plug it into theirs, and crazy stuff, and it's like, I don't know, those little things I take for granted, that I have the money to pay the electricity bill every month, like, so it's really made me feel more grateful for those things that I have that I'm able to pay, and that's amazing to me, that like I can see it in a completely different light, other than it's what you call a paradigm shift. You know, it's like when you look at something negatively and then you look at it as a blessing, and it's like this complete, you know, 180 that you have where you look at things in a completely different way. And I have to say, with the bills, I really needed that, you know, like, it was really easy for me to get rather negative about the bills over time, and so now I don't look at it in such a negative way anymore. We're supposed to be like in the 60s next week. I cannot believe it. I think that, like, this is my guess for the weather, because we're like at the last week. I have this feeling that we're done for winter for the year. I don't think we're going to have any more snow. We didn't really have, I mean, we got kind of lucky this year. We didn't really have a whole lot of snow. You know, the end of December, beginning of January, we had some snow. But I think we're done. I think, like, you know, I remember back in the day, and I've told this one here a lot, like in elementary school, we would make those on like paper plates. On one side, you would like make a lamb out of, what do you call it, cotton balls. And then on the other side, you would make a lion out of like yellow string. And then it was like, you would, March either came in like a lion and went out like a lamb, or came in like a lamb and went out like a lion. But I, honest to God, in Indiana, I don't remember having like really bad snowstorms in March. I just don't. Like, we don't have a lot of really bad snowstorms. So I think what we've had is what we've had. I mean, we have like, what, 2 weeks left of not even completely 2 weeks left of February. And we're supposed to have like 40 to 60 degree weather in the next 2 weeks. So I think we're done with winter. Kind of makes me sad a little bit, but I'm really ready for spring too. April showers bring May flowers. I love spring and early summer. I gotta start looking at, we gotta do our taxes. That's like one of my least favorite things to do in the year. And then I wanna start looking at patio furniture, because you know we have a new patio, so I wanna make my patio really nice. Our sliding glass door is broken. We cannot open it. So our friend who owns a construction company is going to come out and look at it in the next couple weeks and see what we have to do. Alex is like, we're just going to replace the whole thing. I said, we do not have money to replace an entire window panel. Like, we just don't, okay? Sliding glass door window, you're talking thousands of dollars. He's like, no, it wouldn't be that much. I'm like, yeah, Alex, it's going to be extremely expensive to do that. Not to mention our alarm system and everything is set up to that. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm hoping it's something that can just be fixed real easily. The thing is that when I cannot believe somebody was such an idiot when they did this, but I remember this from when my mom lived there, because something happened to the sliding glass door and she couldn't open it at one point. And when they came to fix it, they were like, do you realize your sliding glass door was put in upside down? They put it in upside down. What idiot did that, you know? So whoever fixes it is going to have to go in and, I don't know, I don't know how they're going to do it. I really don't. But I know it's going to be expensive as hell. So we'll just have to see what our taxes are like first before we go into that. Because we're trying to get rid of like all of our debt and, you know, pay off our cars and pay off, well, Alex leases his car, but I'm trying to pay off my car and get our mortgage down really low and stuff like that. And, you know, like, we don't go on trips unless we can pay for it with cash. So, like, Miami is paid for, we've got all that, and I've got money set aside for that and stuff like that. And I always have to think ahead, you know, because of owning my own business. So I have to make sure that I'm paid on projects that I already did, so that when I'm out of town, I can, like, move my projects around that and I can take the time off, you know, which is nice that I can kind of, like, do that, which is awesome. You know, Alex has to, like, schedule time off with the different people that he works for. But, we have all these things we want to do this year, and it's like, we want to get one of those like little L-shaped couches for our patio in the back. And you can get them at Walmart for pretty cheap, Walmart online. I just don't want to have to put it together is the thing. I do not like putting like furniture and stuff together. I'm just not any good at it. I don't enjoy it. We have an IKEA here too. I should probably go and look at IKEA and see what they have as far as like patio furniture. Has anybody ever been to IKEA's patio furniture section? Do they have good IKEA furniture section stuff? I want to go to IKEA soon. We're going to get our washer and dryer this weekend. Everybody keeps on asking about that. It's a President's Day sale at Best Buy. We're going this weekend to get it, so I'm excited about that. station out in the middle of nowhere is so cute. It's like a little general store gas station at like this like four corners, like little stop that they have. It's real adorable. I'd love to live out in the middle of the country like this. I'd probably be scared shitless if I did. Alex would hate it. He would never live out here ever in a million years. I always say that I would love to live out in the country like this, but you know, if I was out here, I think I would be terrified. I mean, really, I do think I would be. All of these houses have barns and pole barns behind them and tons of property, and most of them are farms out here. And I think I would seriously think I was living like in the movie Halloween or something. You know what I mean? I'd be scared to death out here. I really would. And yet I think I could handle it. I'm like, oh, I would love it out here. It's so pretty. The country's so pretty. I'd be like, get me out of here, put me in the city. We're not even in the city, really. I mean, we're like kind of in the city, but we're like in a little suburban area off the city. We're like perfectly located because we're like not like central. We're central, like north central of Indianapolis, but like we're 2 minutes from like everything. We're like 10 minutes from downtown, 10 minutes from the north side. We're like, get on the interstate, we're 2 minutes from the interstate, and you know, the half an hour from the airport, which is like everybody in Indianapolis is a half an hour from the airport. So it's like we're perfectly located, you know? Yeah, that barn is scary. Some of this out here reminds me of that movie Jeepers Creepers. Did you ever see that movie? Jeepers Creepers. That movie scared me so bad. I swear to God, if I saw that truck come behind me right now from Jeepers Creepers, I'd be terrified. Or did you guys ever see that movie Joyride? And then that guy would go, candy cane. Candy cane. Oh, I used to love those movies. I used to watch scary movies all the time. I feel like I don't ever have time to just sit down. I'm always doing something like creatively. I don't feel like I ever have time to just like sit down anymore and just like I haven't read a whole lot lately, physical copy books. Like late at night when I'm like uploading my vlog and stuff, I sit there and I read for a little bit and before I go to bed. But like other than that, I never sit and like watch a movie or like read a book. Like I've been keeping up with my TV shows right now. I'm watching RuPaul's Drag Race, Project Runway All-Stars, The Assassination of Gianni Versace. That show is so out there. And then I watch 60 Days In, and then I'm watching Undercover High. Do you guys watch that Undercover High? They have this whole, I was kind of surprised they aired the episode this week because they aired it on the day of the school shootings in Florida, which was so tragic and sad. It just, I don't even know what to say about something like that. You know, it just like, I feel like all these people were like, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think I think? I think it's sad, you know? It's like, I don't know. It just breaks my heart. But, and I think if maybe for one day, we could just stop talking about all of our, how we feel about stuff and just be human beings and love on each other a little bit more for that, just that day, you know? Just then the next day, let's go on and have a conversation. But just for that day, maybe we can just love each other a little bit more, you know? And, oh my God, what is that? I swear to God, you guys, I thought I saw a UFO. I'm not sure I don't. That's weird. Oh my God. Well, it's just like sitting there in the sky. I'm gonna keep an eye on it. If it zooms over me or something, I'm gonna be like, for real, that is a UFO. I'm always on the lookout for UFOs. But anyway, now it's gone. It was right there, and now it's gone. I looked away for 1 second and it's gone. It was this bright orange light right there. Now it's gone. No trees in the way, nothing. Some spooky stuff out there. But, in Undercover High, they did, this, what do you call it? Do you remember when I drove out here the other day and I hit that church and I turned around because I was like, oh my God, I don't need to be out here. This is really scary. I feel like I've passed that church because like I haven't seen that church. Like, where is it? But they did this like active shooter drill in the school in Undercover High. So if you don't watch Undercover High, it's this, now there's something there blinking. It's this TV show about 7 adults that go into a high school and they act like students, and nobody knows except for the principal and the production team and the superintendent that they're actually adults because they're between the ages of like 20 and 26. And they have this active shooter drill where like they say over the announcement something, they say this is an active shooter drill, and then they like go in there and they like are supposed to lock the doors. Everybody's supposed to be quiet, like, and not move. And like the one teacher is in there, and it's like, I don't even feel like he knows like what he's telling them. And he's like, yeah, like this would be a good time to like get behind your desk, put your desk on the floor, so if anybody looked in here, they wouldn't see you. And I'm like, this is not good advice. Like, I don't understand. Like, this is almost kind of scary. So anyway, but it was like so weird to like watch it and think, like, you know, I see this stuff. I would be scared to death right now, honestly. I hate saying this to the parents out there, but I would be terrified. Tanya and I were talking about this last night. This is where Tanya and I are able to have conversations about stuff like this that doesn't get political and doesn't get all that. But, you know, I would be terrified right now to have a student in a school. I really would. You know, at the same time, I wouldn't want to homeschool them, you know, because I believe that kids need to be socialized and all that kind of stuff. And I think, you know, kids need to be in school. But I would be scared to death to have my kids in schools right now. I really would. You know, and college campuses are just as scary. Going to concerts is just as scary. I told Tanya, I said, I don't even like going to the movie theaters anymore. It scares me, you know? So it's like, what do? Do you live in fear all your life? You know, it's just... And I feel like our kids are being raised... I'm going to turn around because now I am way out here. I just passed that church. I feel like our kids are being raised, you know, in this cloud of fear in our country and in the world. I mean, hell, there's 10 times worse shit that happens around the world on a daily basis, you know? We don't even hear about most of it. And that's not to belittle what happened whatsoever. I mean, at all. Like, it's such a horrible tragedy, you know? It breaks my... It's like... I don't even know what to say in moments like that. It's just like... I did this video today where I was talking about my friend, you know, Lori, who lost both of her sons to heroin overdoses. And when she called me about her second son, I mean, she called me like an hour after he died. And she said, I'm not a mom anymore. And it's like, you know, what do you say in a moment like that? You know, like I said yesterday, I wanted to say something positively. So I put on Twitter, I said, you know, I'm heartbroken, sending my thoughts and prayers to the students, faculty, and parents or families of, you know, the school in Florida. And it's like, all these people were like, you know, thoughts and prayers don't do any good at this point. Well, I'm not sure I know that, you know, like... You know, I remember talking to Lori that night, and I said to her, I said, like, what do you need from me? And she goes, I just need you to be there for me, you know? Man, these kids are coming out, though, and they've got voices, don't they? I mean, they're speaking out on what they really feel about it. I think it's time we give some of these kids voices, you know? I remember in watching that movie, Bowling for Columbine, and in there they were like, you know, I'm not a huge Michael Moore fan, but the documentary was interesting. And they were talking about Marilyn Manson music and how they blame Marilyn Manson music a lot of times. And because the kids that the Columbine shooting were listening to Marilyn Manson music. And they said to him in there, they said, to Marilyn Manson, they said, what would you say to the kids, you know, if you came to their school or whatever? I can't remember what the exact question, but he said to them, he goes, I wouldn't tell them anything. I would ask them to tell me. And, you know, it was such this poignant moment of like, we have stopped listening to our children tell us, you know, what the condition of their life is like and trusting them. We think that we always know what's best. And sometimes we don't know what's best. Sometimes we need to work with our children. Sometimes we need to work, you know, with our neighbors and the students that are out there and really listening to, like, I mean, life is not the same as it was 20 years ago. You know, that was a wake-up call for me yesterday. I was like, school is a scary place. School is a scary place 20 years ago, but it's 10 times scarier now. When I was in graduate school, which was like 98, I took this class on societal systems. And we were talking about school systems. And I remember I read this book, and I will never forget the book, but I don't remember who it's by. It was by this school principal, and he had worked in like the Bronx or Harlem. And the book was called Fist, Knife, Gun. And it talked about how rage and violence really had not ever changed from like the 50s to the 60s to the 70s to the 80s to the 90s, right? Like violence and rage hadn't changed. What had changed was the instruments that we used, you know? The instruments that we used to, you know, so if in the 50s and the early 60s, it was like, I'll meet you outside class and beat your ass, you know, then in the late 60s and early 70s, it was knifing people. And then in the late 70s and early 80s and into the 90s, it was guns, right? So really, violence and anger haven't changed. If you think about it that way, what's really changed is the instruments that we're using, you know, and now we're using assault, you know, machine guns, which is terrifying. What's it going to be next, you know? And I think we need to go into the schools, and I think we need to listen to the kids. And I know that even if we had, this wouldn't have been stopped. I mean, I understand that, but they're scared. These kids are scared. They're terrified, you know? It's scary shit. I wouldn't want to be a student right now. We live in a scary world. And what's really sad is that, you know, I don't know why, but like when I was like, I don't know, 16, 18, 20, I guess I thought, and I was real involved in activism back then, and I guess I thought, you know, that we'd grow into this world where things were safer and things were more accepted and the world was a kinder, softer place. And in some ways it has become that. You know, in some ways the world is a kinder place. And in other ways it's not. You know, in other ways it's still a very scary place. And we don't listen to one another and we don't talk kindly to each other. And I don't know, it's just, sometimes it breaks my heart, you know? It's like, there's so much sadness in the world, and, you know, I think, like, also, like, that's one of the reasons why I make my videos on my main channel, is I want people to laugh. I want people to be able to, you know, get away from whatever is dragging them down for the day and watch a Peter Monn video, flip a fan, sing a song ridiculously, laugh at myself, and know that it's okay to laugh at yourself, you know, and laugh at your insecurities, and laugh at the things that you don't like about yourself, and laugh about the craziness of the world, and that's okay, and we can do that, right? And I like to do that, you know, and I like to cheer people's days up and make people laugh a little bit. Because it can get really, you know, sad to just sit around and talk about this stuff all the time, you know? And it's a lot sometimes. It's a lot. I saw, no, it doesn't. It's just, it's a lot. It's a lot. So, on to some happier news. Let's see. Oh, I'm at like 29 minutes. Oh my God, I've talked for 29 minutes. 29 minutes. Somebody just texted me. I wonder if it's Lori. She's probably like, on my way. I'm like way out in the country. I like went really far this time. I'm by Markleville. I don't even know where that's at. Oh, I just passed that little gas station again. Y'all want to see it? It's so cute. Look at it. It's just, you guys will be like, you think that's cute? It's just like out in the middle of nowhere. That's why I think it's cute. Look at that. See? It's right there. Should we do like a little drive-by? This is the Markleville gas station. Wonder who lives there. Look at it. See, it's just little. This is like someplace that Alex and I would stop at like, okay, well my camera died right when I was driving through the gas station or whatever I was doing. And then I was trying to show this house afterwards and I was like, I know some old lady's gonna come out here with a rifle and be like, get off my property! But that didn't happen, so. Anyway, I'm making it closer to town, closer to town, closer to town. Wouldn't it be weird if like, did you guys ever used to watch that show, Unsolved Mysteries, back in the day? If like they would just find my car on the side of the road and none of my stuff would be in it, my wallet would still be here. I guess everything would still be here. Scratch that part. This is where I come up with ideas for books. My wallet would still be there, everything would still be there, my camera would still be rolling, and they would watch it back, and then all of a sudden they would just like see me like pull over, and they'd be like, I was going through the gas station at Markleville, and then the next thing you saw, I was like talking to somebody through the window, but you couldn't see who it was, and they'd be like, well, get out for just a second. And I would get out, and then you would never see me again, and then I would be on an episode of Unsolved Mysteries. Wouldn't that be scary? Oh my God. See, I think that way. I think that way. You gotta always be thinking, because you never know what situation you're gonna be in. But something scary might happen. You gotta protect yourself at any cost. You guys are like, Peter, you are nuts. You are nuts. Well, I might be. It is such a still night outside. I'm kind of sad we're not going to get any more snow this year. I wish we would. Maybe we will. Maybe we'll have some horrible blizzard in March, but I seriously doubt it. I remember back in the day, I mean, like from the middle of December, I don't ever remember a Christmas with no snow growing up, honest to God. But like from the middle of December all the way through like the end of February, it was just, the whole ground was covered with snow, always. Always. I mean, it was never slushy. It was hard-packed snow the whole winter. We don't ever have that anymore. I mean, I hardly wore a coat this winter. There were a couple, I mean, there was probably, you know, a 2-week period where it was really cold and we had a lot of snow, but other than that, it wasn't really that bad at all. I miss those days of snow days and staying inside and reading books all day long and having grilled cheeses and tomato soup. And what I used to love is when they would cancel school, like before you went to bed, so you knew that you could stay up super late and your mom would let you stay up, and then we would watch movies. And I would always ask my mom on snow days, it didn't even matter if it was in February, I'd be like, can we watch a Christmas movie? And I would want to get all my Christmas movies out on VCR tape, and we would watch all my Christmas movies that I had taped. Do you guys remember back in the day when you would you would record on tapes like your favorite shows? And then you would watch them back. I still have some of them in the basement. But that's what we would do back in the day. And I just dated myself. I just thought to myself, I need to go and just throw all that away. Like, I'm never going to watch those again, right? But anyway, that's what I used to do. I would set up shop in our TV room, which was our guest bedroom. It had this big console TV in it. This ugly brown couch that's in my basement now. That weighs about 3 tons because it has a pull-out bed in it. But anyway, I would just set up in there and leave my pajamas on all day long, and it would just snow and snow and snow. That one year that the blizzard was so bad was when my neighbor Jessie across the street, she and I would roller skate in our basement. But most snow days, like, if it wasn't like too cold outside, we would go sledding and stuff, and then we would go, oh, this was the other thing we would do, because with the creek behind my backyard wasn't like real deep, and we would all have those snow boots. Do you remember those, what are they called, those snow boots? We used to call them something, those big ones. Do you remember those? God, what do we call those? Somebody help me in the comment section what we would call those snow boots. We called them something more, moon boots. We called them moon boots, that's what we called them. Everybody had them. And so like they went up to like, you know, mid-calf. And so even if you like stepped in like a foot of water, you were still fine, right? So we would walk on the creek and see how like far it was frozen. And you would like step through some areas that were like frozen. You'd see like the little tadpoles and fish underneath there and stuff like that. We would walk those creeks forever in the winter. That was one of the things that we did. I know it's hard to believe that I used to grow up like in the woods, and we like, I mean, we were always forever making forts in the woods. And did I tell the story on here about how my hand got caught in the animal trap one year and my friend had to go back and get my parents? And I was so scared, and I sat there forever in the woods, and I was by myself. Oh my God, that was so scary. But at the same time, it was like very still. It was really weird. We were like digging through leaves and stuff, and all of a sudden this old rusty like trap like went up over my finger. It was like over my thumb, and it trapped my thumb. It hurt so bad. I can still remember it. I mean, it was like this rusty animal trap. And my friend tried to get it off, and he couldn't get it off. And I was like, I don't know what to do, I don't know. So like he ran back, but we were like 40 minutes walking from our house, and he had to like walk all the way back 40 minutes. And then we were kind of close to this like street where this cul-de-sac came up. And so then like I remember like my dad came out there, and he by then it was like dark, and I remember they came out with like flashlights and stuff and got me, and my dad took me out of there, and he like got the animal trap off, and then like took me home, and then like I think we went to the hospital, and he like got it like stitched up or cleaned up or something. I don't remember. It's weird thinking about that. It's weird things that you think that you could never like make it through. I mean, like, that's not really any kind of tragedy, but like I can remember sitting out there and like, you know, things you think that you could never do, and then when you're forced to do them, you kind of do them. You know what I mean? Like, if you would have said to me, you have to go sit in the woods in the dark, I would have been like, I'm not going to sit in the woods in no dark. No, there's no way, as a kid, right? But then when I was being forced to sit out there because there was nowhere to go, because I'm trapped to this animal trap in the ground, you know, and I did it, you know, and I just sat there. I remember just sitting there, like, and it was so cold outside, and I just did it. I remember being so relieved when they came. And it was really weird, too, because I was, like, right by the creek, right by this area where it, like, teed off. And one of the tee areas, like, goes really big. It's, like, an area where, like, the creek, like, turned into, like, well, it was, area of where I grew up called Cool Creek, and Cool Creek was actually kind of a big creek. It was like, it could get deep in areas, not super deep, like 10 feet, but it got deep, like a couple feet. And I remember later when I would, like years later, when I would do the, I just talked about this on here not too long ago, but when I would do the Melody Beatty tapes that I was talking about, where she talks about floating down the river of life, like, and just going with the flow, I would always think about, like, my starting point would always be right there. Like, and I would always think of, like, that image in my head of, like, sitting in the woods and watching that creek, like, tee, and I just watched it, and then I remember sitting there and watching animals, like deer and stuff, come out, and I still to this day think that deer are such spiritual animals. And, you know, it's interesting is that when you sit in the woods and you're just very, very still, and I'm sure if people hunt, which I loathe hunting, I'm sorry if you're a hunter, but I do not like hunting. I just don't understand the ability to do that. So, and yes, I've eaten meat, and yes, I've worn leather, and I'm not a hypocrite, but I don't know how people actually shoot an animal. I know what happens to get the animal to become food and leather, but I still don't understand how you shoot and kill a living thing. I don't know that I could ever do that. Even in defense of myself or my family, I think I would really struggle with that. But, and I mean, I grew up with hunters. My dad hunted when I was growing, not when I was growing up, but when he was a little kid, he was, you know, went hunting, and Tanya used to hunt with her brothers, and everybody I know used to hunt. And so anyway, but I can remember sitting out there that night, you know, in the woods before they got there, and like all these animals kind of like walking around me, you know, like not on me, not like trying to get me or anything like, but I can remember like there being like a deer like 10 feet away, and like squirrels and stuff like that, and like rabbits, and like kind of like at some point were unaware that I was, like, they knew I was there, but like they weren't afraid of me. And you know, it makes you think, like, what makes animals afraid of us, you know, and what makes us afraid of other people and other things? Is it our lack of understanding, or is it how we notice other people act in the world, you know? Fear is an interesting concept, I think. And, you know, a lot of times fear is really just made up concepts in our head of how we look at things in the world, and what, you know, it's like what's the saying? Like I said this the other night, that fear, we had nothing to fear but fear itself. That's like one of the first lines from To Kill a Mockingbird. And I think President Roosevelt said that. And it's like kind of true, you know, when you think about it, it's like, fear is like this made up concept that we kind of like believe in something that really doesn't exist. You know, it's like, I don't love to fly. So it's like, I have a lot of fear of flying, right? And I don't like sharks. But like, how many times have I seen a shark in the water? You know, like never. But I have a lot of fears about a lot of things, you know? I also don't love like orca whales, but how many times have I seen an orca whale? Never, you know? I also don't love serial killers in the woods. How many times have I seen a serial killer in the wood? So like, these are a lot of things that just like work us up that we're afraid of, when in reality, our fear is really about something else. Our fear is about control. Our fear is about, you know, whatever. And so do you think that maybe animals are the same way when they're afraid? It's like, is it a control issue? Is it lack of understanding? Is it conceptually they don't get what's going on? Because that has to be kind of what it is, don't you think? Like, I mean, don't you think that fear in animals is similar to fear in human beings, the processing of it? It roots back to something else, you would think. I mean, it would make sense, right? I don't know, maybe I'm just being stupid. Anyway, I guess it doesn't really matter. You're like, no, it really doesn't. It's just interesting to me. I think about that stuff all the time, especially when I'm sitting around and I'm like watching my... Oh shit, what was that? What did I just go over? Oh my God, I just went through this huge log. Oh, I hope my tire is okay. But I think about that a lot. Like, I think about, like, you know, like, I don't know. I am a believer that animals have souls and animals have personalities and they have spirit. And I do believe they're thinking creatures. And if you have animals, cats, dogs, birds, rabbits, whatever, if you watch an animal long enough, you will realize that it really does have those things. It's hard to watch an animal and not see that, you know? And, so a lot of times, like, I'll watch the dogs and it's so funny, and it's, you know, Boo, Tucker, and Pee-Pee, all three of them have completely different personalities, and the way that they respond to things is so completely different, you know? And we've pretty much treated all three of the dogs in the exact same way, and so it's interesting when they act differently about things, you know? Then you know that that's organic. Then you know that that's innate, that that's something that they had inside of them, that they were born that way, you know? Baby, I was born this way. So anyway. And then when I look back at the other dogs that I've had in my life, it's similar, you know? I don't know. I'm always in my head thinking. Well, all right, you guys. I have gone almost 45 minutes, so I'm gonna get off here. Oh my God. No, I'm not gonna get off here yet. No, I am. I'm coming up here, and look what I just came up onto. Are you ready? I cannot believe it. I came to a train. Can you guys see it? Right, baby, I was born this way. Look at this. Not happy. Peter, this is what you get for driving out in the country for so long. Oh well, what do you do, right? The thing is, I can't even see how far it's going really fast though. I can't see how far it is, so I don't know when it's going to be done, but it doesn't really matter. I kind of can't believe that Alex hasn't texted me and said that he's on his way home yet. He's going to be tired tomorrow. And then what'll happen is he has to work until 4 at this thing tomorrow. He has like a meeting in the morning, and then he has this like conference thing in the afternoon. He has to work, and till like 4 or 5, he's going to come home and be exhausted and want to go to bed at like 6 o'clock. True story. Tomorrow, that'll be what'll happen. Anyway, well listen, you guys, I think I'm going to get off here now. And in my vlog there, I've talked about so many random things I don't even know, you know? I hope you guys are having a great weekend. I hope you're enjoying your Saturday. I love you. I'm so silly, aren't I? I love you guys, and I will talk to you later. Bye.